They tried to undermine her. But Karoline Leavitt's response left the host and his panel utterly speechless. The studio buzzes with an electric anticipation. Cameras are rolling. The city skyline sparkles through the glass windows behind the set. Yet all attention is focused on the stage. At the heart of it all is Grayson Holt, a name that draws focus in liberal media. He has crafted a career filled with incisive monologues, viral critiques, and a level of sardonic assurance that elicits applause from the crowd while leaving his adversaries uneasy. This evening, he's ready to give it another go. Across from him, Karoline Leavitt, youthful, traditional, and seemingly mismatched in this setting. Or at least that's the general perception. The panelists beside Grayson are sharing sly smiles, eagerly anticipating the show to unfold. Grayson reclines in his chair, crossing one leg over the other, his fingers drumming against the desk as if setting the rhythm for an upcoming show. "All right, Karoline," he begins, stretching her name as if he's a gracious host giving special attention to a guest who has just misspoken. "Let's get straight to the point. You're youthful, driven, and somehow believe that the Republican Party is more than just a haven for retirees seeking tax advantages. I'm curious, are you here to stand by old policies? Or is this more of a tryout for a spot on Fox News in the evening?" A soft laugh resonates throughout the gathering. One of the guests adjusts their position, clearly entertained. "Welcome back. It's great to see something that feels so recognizable." Grayson is preparing to create the perfect atmosphere for yet another impressive takedown. Leavitt remains unfazed. She brings her hands together on the desk. Attentive and patient, she takes her time before offering a defense. Grayson seizes the opportunity to delve deeper. "Honestly, let's be honest," he goes on, straightening his blazer as if getting comfortable. "People like you are often showcased by conservatives. New look, prepared for the spotlight, yet ultimately it's the same storyline. Let's talk about tax reductions, the importance of taking charge of our own lives, and perhaps a fond reflection on simpler times gone by. It's quite expected. The real question is, are you ready to join in on the fun?" The camera zooms in, capturing his smirk. The panelists observe with a subtle hint of amusement in their expressions. Leavitt tilts her head, her expression a mystery to those around her. She's giving him the floor, allowing him to express himself fully. "Are you really asking that?" she finally inquires, her voice calm and steady. Grayson offers a casual shrug, his hands open wide. "Oh, my apologies. Did I touch on something sensitive?" Another laugh from the panel. Everything is ready to go. Grayson feels at ease, confident that everything is unfolding just as he envisioned. Yet there's a change in Leavitt's demeanor. A brief glimpse of something perilous. Not frustration, not anxiety, but confidence. She leans in, her gaze fixed intently on him. She's poised to turn this into an unforgettable on-air experience for him. And he remains blissfully unaware. Grayson feels a chance unfolding before him. He has visited this place previously. Young conservatives appearing on his show, attempting to stand their ground, only to falter beneath the pressure of his wit and expertise. He leans in, applying more pressure. "You know, Karoline," he says, extending her name with a warm smile. "Your confidence is truly admirable. It requires genuine commitment to align with a group that, frankly, seems to prefer women in traditional roles rather than in positions of political power." The atmosphere fills with joyous laughter from the panel. Even the camera crew shares a laugh. It's a perfect strike. Leavitt maintains a steady expression. Not a flinch, Grayson observes. Yet he remains convinced that she's merely putting on a facade. He continues on his path. "And I must inquire," he goes on, pretending to be intrigued. "Do you genuinely hold the beliefs you express? Or is this merely an elaborate con?" It's all about saying the right things, ensuring everyone feels valued, and perhaps securing a comfortable position as a commentator when things take a turn. A panelist, a journalist from a progressive online outlet, interjects with a smirk. "We must remember the strategies of the GOP," she remarks, shaking her head. "Seek out an individual who is youthful, appealing, and eager to present familiar strategies in an innovative way. Honestly, Karoline, do you ever get the impression that they're taking advantage of your generosity?" Yet another wave of joy fills the room. The pace of the assault is intensifying. Grayson recognizes the perfect opportunity to deliver the decisive blow. "Just take a moment to consider your role. Karoline, You're supporting a group that opposes diversity initiatives while showcasing you as their fresh, contemporary representative. Can you appreciate the irony? Or is there an obligation preventing you from acknowledging it? One of the panelists beside him joins in, chuckling heartily. Come on, Grayson, let's keep things friendly. Perhaps she genuinely holds these beliefs. Grayson smiles warmly. All eyes are on her, the audience, the cameras, the viewers at home, anticipating that moment of uncertainty. But Leavitt remains unfazed. Instead, she adjusts her position in her seat, aligns her posture, and allows the laughter to fade naturally. There was a complete 2 seconds of silence. The atmosphere in the room transforms. This moment belongs to her now. Then she exhales, tilts her head just slightly, and shares her thoughts. Have you completed that? Grayson blinks, taking in the moment. The atmosphere has changed, and you can feel the shift in dynamics. However, it remains unnoticed by everyone at this moment. The laughter fades more quickly than Grayson anticipated. He felt confident that he had her right where he wanted her. The guests were fully supportive of him. The panel provided their support for him. What could have caused him to feel like he no longer has command over the atmosphere? Leavitt leans in a bit, her hands resting on the table, her expression a mystery. She exudes confidence, calmness, and unwavering assurance. Have you completed that? Her voice remains steady as she repeats. Grayson lets out a light laugh, shaking his head with a smile. Oh, Karoline, let's keep it light, shall we? It's simply, no, really, she interjects, her voice steady and composed, creating an atmosphere that feels oddly disconcerting. Have you wrapped things up? I want to ensure you have the opportunity to share all your prepared remarks before I reply. The atmosphere grows more intense. Grayson's confident expression wavers, if only for the briefest moment. The panelists adjust their positions. The camera crew, sensing the authenticity of the moment, instinctively shifts their angles to capture the unfolding scene. They were caught off guard by this. Leavitt tilts her head, observing intently, neither smiling nor frowning. Then she shares her thoughts. All right, Grayson, let me show you how it's done. You create situations where individuals are caught off guard with clever remarks. Encourage your team to share a laugh, and then anticipate your guest to falter, become defensive, or withdraw. Typically, it tends to go well. However, there is an issue to address. It seems you might not have gathered all the necessary information about me. Grayson chuckles lightly, a hint of amusement in his voice. Oh, trust me, Karoline, no, you didn't, she interjects, her voice calm and unwavering. Because if you had, you'd understand that I stand my ground. And I absolutely won't allow individuals like you to shape my identity. The atmosphere is completely still at this moment. Grayson adjusts his posture slightly. For the first time, he finds himself in a position where he doesn't have the reins. Leavitt shifts her weight, her voice rising slightly to break the tension in the room. You refer to me as a mere token, a puppet on strings. It feels as though my individuality and unique perspectives are overlooked, as if I'm merely here to echo established ideas. However, there's an interesting twist to this situation. It seems like you're the one following a predetermined plan. You've entered this space with the same old criticisms and familiar jabs, as that's clearly your go-to approach. Tease, overlook, undermine. That's the complete strategy you have in place. And yet, I'm the one who's expected to be unoriginal? A brief moment of silence. Grayson takes a moment to gather his thoughts. Leavitt doesn't allow him any space to relax. You present yourself as someone who values women's voices. Yet when one expresses herself in a manner that challenges your perspective, your support seems to waver. You tease her. You seem to express concern for young people's involvement in politics. Yet when they don't follow your exact narrative, you attempt to undermine their voices. It's interesting how you discuss advancement. Yet when faced with a challenge, you revert to that familiar condescending demeanor. She relaxes into her seat. At last, a smile has appeared. However, it lacks a welcoming atmosphere. It seems like you're not in the mood for a chat. Grayson, it seems you're looking for a punching bag. And I'm not here to take on that role. Grayson takes a moment to blink. The panelists exchange glances with one another. One of the guests clears their throat, adjusting in their seat. The atmosphere in the room has shifted significantly. The camera gently draws closer, revealing an extraordinary moment on a live political show. True tranquility. Leavitt completely transformed the atmosphere in less than 2 minutes, leaving Grayson Holt speechless for the first time in his career. But what truly matters? Stay tuned for what's coming up next. For a moment, silence fills the room. The quiet in the studio feels more than just uncomfortable. It feels quite substantial. Grayson's jaw tightens, yet he swiftly manages a chuckle, shaking his head as if to maintain his composure. Wow, Karoline, that was quite the impressive speech. So, did you get a chance to rehearse that in front of the mirror today? An insufficient effort to reclaim authority. However, it doesn't quite hit the mark. This time, the panelists are not sharing any laughter. One of them clears their throat and glances at the camera crew, as if silently inquiring, "Are we still broadcasting?" Leavitt remains composed. She observes him, her poise unwavering. And then, we take a moment for a commercial break. It wasn't due to careful planning or a smooth conclusion. It happened because someone in the control room lost their composure. As soon as the screen goes black, social media lights up with activity. The clips from the exchange circulated rapidly. Wow, Karoline just completely outshined Grayson Holt on live television. They had to take a break and go to a commercial. This was a complete disaster. I've never witnessed him so utterly at a loss for words before. This is absolutely wild. The video garners millions of views within just a few hours. Even those who typically steer clear of politics are captivated. Commentators are working diligently to shape the story. Some minimize the occasion, suggesting that Grayson was merely allowing her to express herself. Some people believe she was simply being overly dramatic, or perhaps just another conservative seeking sympathy. Unfortunately, it seems that it's not functioning as intended. This clip truly conveys its message on its own. And then the situation takes a turn for the worse for Grayson. The inbox of the network is overflowing. Guests are eager for a reply. The ratings from the segment have arrived. And while they're sky high, the engagement is intense. It seems that Grayson's typical supporters are not coming together for him this time. Instead, some are subtly pondering, did he truly get outmaneuvered? What held him back from responding? What was the reason for such a quick transition to commercial? The panelists who had shared a laugh earlier begin to create some space between themselves. A journalist from a progressive news outlet tweets, "Just to clarify, I don't believe Grayson was prepared for that moment." The atmosphere was tense, and the abrupt transition to a commercial break only heightened the discomfort. What is the appropriate way to express that he faltered under pressure? Grayson is aware of it as well. And now he faces a decision. Reinforce your position, or manage the situation effectively. Regardless of the circumstances, the impact has already been made. Grayson Holt has certainly had his share of controversies, but this one seems to stand apart. As the show comes to a close, his phone is buzzing with notifications. Messages are flooding in from producers, network executives, and his PR team. There's a palpable sense of urgency in the air. He browses through Twitter. Every third post features a still image of his expression, caught in a moment of silence while Karoline takes him apart. Memes are all around us. Grayson Holt is no longer on the job. When your whole demeanor is filled with self-satisfaction, but it doesn't go as planned. The moment he understood she was fully engaged in the game. The clip is featured on all the major news outlets before he even steps out of the studio. What's the story? Grayson Holt experiences a moment of embarrassment on live television. He forcefully places his phone on the surface. This is quite disappointing. This poses a serious risk to one's career. The producer reaches out. Let's gather a statement together. Managing the situation is typical in media. But this time they seem to be in a rush. What's the plan for the gathering? Presented as Grayson being generous, allowing Karoline the opportunity to express her viewpoint. Shortly after, a tweet is released from his account by his PR team. What a wonderful discussion we had this evening with Karoline Leavitt. While we may not see eye to eye all the time, engaging in these conversations is vital for the health of our democracy. Excited for more engaging discussions like this. It seems that there isn't much interest in it. The responses are quite harsh. Wow, that was quite the experience for you. Sometimes, it's best to accept the outcome gracefully. Why are you acting like you allowed this to occur? It seems you faced quite a challenge. This is like the public relations version of feigning a stumble while on stage. It seems the network is experiencing some dissatisfaction, not due to the viral moment, but rather because of his unfortunate appearance. An executive has called for an urgent meeting. There's discussion about reworking the panel format to prevent a repeat of this situation. An email has surfaced online. It comes from a producer at the network who prefers to remain anonymous. We really should have transitioned to the commercial break a bit earlier. This was quite the challenge. It really complicates the situation. Now everyone realizes that the commercial break was anything but ordinary. It was a hasty decision. Grayson Holt was facing a significant defeat, leading to the decision to end the game. And now, it's the hot topic of conversation. Meanwhile, Karoline seems to be quite idle. There were no hurried tweets, no official statements, and no celebratory moments, just a solitary post on her account. Allow guests to express their thoughts freely. The truth has a way of revealing itself naturally. The straightforwardness of it amplifies its impact even more. By the next morning, it's Grayson Holt's reputation that's on the line. But what really makes a difference? That's going to make a significant impact. By the next morning, Grayson Holt is in the spotlight, but not in the way he typically enjoys. Cable news shows are diving deep into the moment. Political commentators from various perspectives are analyzing the reasons behind his failure. Some hosts attempt to minimize it. It was actually quite manageable. He allowed her to speak for an extended period. However, some may not show the same level of kindness. This is the outcome when one becomes overly at ease with criticizing others rather than engaging in constructive discussions. The true standout, however, comedians who perform late at night. A show features the clip, halting precisely at Grayson's moment of stunned silence. Everyone. This is the expression of someone who is coming to terms with the unraveling of his entire persona right before our eyes. The crowd erupts in laughter. Even his own supporters can't put a positive spin on this one. Some make an effort, but the responses overwhelm them with a flood of memes and irrefutable facts. She doesn't merely prevail in the discussion. She takes center stage in the narrative. Some media outlets are labeling it as one of the most remarkable moments in television history. Clips of her response are taking social media by storm. However, there is something more significant unfolding. The story surrounding her is evolving. She has evolved beyond merely being a young Republican seeking recognition. She entered a challenging environment and emerged unscathed, commanding respect and admiration. And that's when the invitations begin to flow in. Additional interviews, larger venues, presenting opportunities. There's talk of a potential book deal coming together. Individuals who overlooked her previously. Finally, they are engaged and focused. And Grayson, of course? For the first time in his career, Grayson Holt is finding himself in a position where he isn't leading the discussion. He embodies the essence of the discussion. The ratings for his show are on the rise. But unfortunately, it's not for positive reasons. Guests are observing, anticipating his next misstep. The atmosphere is becoming tense. Executives arrange a meeting to discuss their reputation strategy. A senior producer, who has been one of his strongest advocates, is stepping down. While it may not be an official consequence, it's clear that everyone understands the implications. Grayson Holt has some issues to address. And what about Karoline? She has truly established herself as an emerging powerhouse in the political arena. However, the true takeaway? That's on the way shortly. Some moments slip away in just a few hours. This one did not. As time went on, the clip continued to make its rounds. It was more than just a discussion. It was about a more profound connection. Individuals from various political backgrounds observed the situation closely. Some perceived it as a cautionary signal. Always be aware of the strengths of those you face. Some viewed it as evidence that being genuine surpasses mere skill. However, there was one thing that could not be overlooked. This was more than just a fleeting viral sensation. It was quite the change. Grayson Holt had crafted his journey through satire, dominance, and carefully orchestrated confrontations. He always approached discussions with insincerity. He experienced humiliation. That was effective for a while. But then it fell short. His loss extended beyond just one conversation. It was about the moment when the facade crumbled. Guests witnessed the event unfold live. They observed as someone who typically held all the advantages lost everything in an unexpected turn of events. So, what comes next? The enchantment has been lifted. Karoline Leavitt didn't win simply because she raised her voice more. She didn't win by throwing better insults than him. She triumphed due to her unwavering resolve. She maintained her composure without frantic self-defense. She took charge of her response. Regardless of the atmosphere in the room, she maintained her composure. She announced the game that Grayson was engaged in. By doing so, she positioned him as the one who needed to defend himself. That's what truly gave it strength. Grayson Holt's journey is far from finished. However, it has transformed. The assurance he previously exuded won't resonate in the same way. His guests witnessed his challenges. His critics observed him laid bare. And how about Karoline? This was more than just a fleeting trend. This moment truly shaped my career. An unforgettable moment that captured everyone's attention. A moment that transformed ridicule into a rallying call. Let me share something important with you. Everyone encounters situations like this. Perhaps not during a live broadcast. Perhaps not with a vast audience tuning in. However, we have our unique approach. Everyone faces challenges. There are moments when we find ourselves facing individuals who attempt to undermine our worth. Where someone anticipates our submission. In those moments, your demeanor can transform the entire experience. Do you allow others to shape your identity? Or do you seize the moment? The true takeaway from this experience is clear. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Could this have been a calculated move by Karoline? Or was it simply a display of unwavering confidence? What are your thoughts on what this reveals about contemporary media? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm excited to discuss this with you. If you're interested in hearing more stories like this, be sure to subscribe. Believe me, there's so much more to discover.